So, how's everyone doing? How is everyone enjoying the Battlefield Hardline beta? I am having a blast. I am playing this 24/7. I cannot stop. This has become a problem for me. But enough about me. Now in this video, I'm going to go over all of the attachments and how they affect your weapons, how they affect recoil when you're on the move, when you're stationary, when you're hip firing, or when you're ADSing. I am going to go over all of the things. Now, before we go into all of the attachments and what they do and all that stuff, and go all level cap on your ass, I would like to talk about Louis the Child. Now, a lot of you guys probably know who Louis the Child is. They're musicians, they make brilliant music, and I very often use their music in my intros and in my videos. I've used them in my cinematic montage. A lot of you probably saw Cinematic Montage 3.0. Well, that was their music. And because I love these guys so much, and they've been so awesome to me, I would like to give something back to them. In the description of this video, you will find a link. Now, if you click that link, it will take you to a page, and it's called Hype 'em. And there, if you just make an account, if you don't have an account, just make one. It takes like 2 minutes. You make an account, and you heart their music. It's the equivalent of like, but you click the little heart symbol, because it's you heart them. You don't like them, you heart them. And this means the world to these guys, okay? They've been so awesome to me, and I would just love to give something back to them. Now, when they get a bunch of hearts, their plays gets bumped on the leaderboards, and they get tons more plays on their SoundCloud page, which I will also leave a link to in the description. I know for a fact that a lot of you guys have been enjoying their music on my videos for quite some time now. So if you would just like to take that 1 minute out of your time, make an account if you haven't already, and heart their music. That would mean the world to me. Not only to me, but to Louis the Child. And that is all that I will ever ask for. Also, watch the video. That's pretty important. So, now that that's been said, let's go back to the attachments and how they affect the weapons in Hardline. So let's start things off with the heavy barrel. The heavy barrel adds 50% more minimum spread when you fire on the move and from the hip while ADSing, and you'll have 50% less minimum spread and 20% less maximum spread when stationary and ADSing. It also takes away 20% vertical and horizontal recoil. So it's safe to say that this attachment is going to be one of the more useful ones in Hardline, seeing how they significantly increase the recoil on the weapons. The compensator will give you 40% less vertical recoil and 17% more horizontal recoil. Now this one is obviously aimed at weapons that have more vertical recoil to them, like for example the Scar Rifle available to the Enforcer class. Onto the Muzzle Brake. Now this will give you 50% more spread decrease while ADSing and hip firing, 17.5% less vertical recoil, both ADS and hip fire, and 50% less horizontal recoil while ADSing and hip firing. So here we pretty much have the attachment that does the exact opposite of the compensator and will take care of weapons with more horizontal recoil. Now on to the laser sight. This will give you 25% less minimum spread while being stationary and hip firing, and 33 less minimum spread while being on the move, again affecting the hip fire. Now this is pretty straightforward and pretty much the exact same on how the laser sight has always worked in Battlefield games. Then we have the Bipod, and I can safely assume we all know what that one does. It significantly reduces any form of recoil or spread when it's deployed, including the first shot recoil. Now I won't go over all the numbers because let's be honest, that's a lot of numbers, so what I'll do is I'll put a little graphic on screen so you guys can see all the changes for yourself, and I will also include the graphic for when the Bipod is on the LMGs. I won't leave it on here for very long, so if you feel the need to pause the video, go ahead and do that. Now let's take a look at the Bullpup. It gives you 25% more minimum spread while being stationary and ADSing, and 25% less minimum spread whilst aiming down the sights and moving at the same time. Pretty straightforward, something that you might think about equipping if you like to be on the move whilst firing your weapon. Why did I do that accent? I have no idea. My brain works in the most mysterious ways. Now this is an interesting one, okay? The extended magazine adds 50% more minimum spread across the board when being on the move, so you might think twice before equipping that now. The angled grip acts exactly like it does in Battlefield 4. It reduces 33% of the first shot recoil. The Ergo Grip gives you 50% less minimum spread while aiming down the sights and hip firing while moving, and 25% less minimum spread when stationary and hip firing. And then, ladies and gentlemen, our final attachment, the Stubby Grip. The Stubby Grip gives us 50% less maximum spread whilst ADSing stationary and on the move, and it also gives us 50% less SIPS whilst ADSing stationary and on the move as well, and also 50%, I'm sorry, 50, that's 15%, 1 and 5, less SIPS hipfire both stationary and on the move. Now you might sit there wondering, what in the devil does SIPS or SIPS mean? Well, that's the moment in this video where I'm afraid I'm gonna have to disappoint you folks because I am none the wiser, unfortunately. But what I will do is leave the forum post in the description of this video, and you guys will be able to check it out for yourselves, all of it in detail. I have to say, I'm much more pleased with their approach to how attachments work in Hardline compared to Battlefield 4. It feels like they've given a lot more attention to how the weapons handle in this game, which makes sense, of course, since most of the combat is infantry-based. I would also briefly want to mention that the suppressor and the flash hider in the game do not affect spread or recoil in any way, and I know that is going to make a lot of you guys happy out there, including myself. So there we go, I hope you guys got something out of this video and learned something new about the attachments and how they work in the game. If you did enjoy the video, consider leaving a like and let me know if you're as pleased as I am when it comes to how the attachments work in Hardline. Don't forget to check out that link and support Louis the Child and their sexual music. My name is Dolce and I'm gonna see you after I have sex with a buttery bagel. 'Cause that's what I do.